Hey guys, welcome back to the boat. Frank here. We're down on the boat rather than up in the shop, but we'll be up in the shop shortly. We're gonna service the aftercoolers on this twin turbocharged Cummins diesel boat. The engines have aftercoolers to cool the intake air and before it goes into the engine. And on this video we're going to pull the aftercoolers off, take them up to the shop, disassemble, clean them, and then bring them back down and reinstall them. So here we are, got the bridge deck raised again, and you can see the two engines. These are Cummins Diamond Series 450 horsepower turbocharged diesel engines, 8.3 liter. They're actually called 6CTA 8.3. 6C is the designation Cummins uses for this particular engine. It's inline 6-cylinder, 8.3 liter displacement, and the TA is turbocharged aftercooled. So 6CTA 8.3 liter. And so one of the things you need to do every 3 to 5 years is remove the aftercoolers. Since they have seawater flowing through the tube bundle inside, you do get marine growth over time, so it needs to be cleaned out to maintain efficiency, maintain cooling water flow. It's one of the things that gets neglected because it's kind of a hassle, but needs to be done. And so I've had this boat 10 years. I did it at 5 years. It's been 5 years. It's certainly time to do it again. I don't have to do it as often as some people do because of my brackish water. I'm not in real heavy salt water here. The water here is brackish where I keep my boat, though I do operate it in salt water. And part of the year it's laid up with antifreeze, so the aftercoolers are filled with antifreeze. It's a non-toxic antifreeze, so that inhibits growth, so it's not sitting here all year long. And the aftercoolers drain down. Since my boat's kept on a lift, it comes up out of the water in storage, and so the cooling water system drains down by gravity, so only about half of the aftercooler has water in it after that happens. And so we'll probably see the marine growth only halfway up the tube bundle, but we'll check that out when we get in there. So the aftercoolers, get in here. So this is the aftercooler here. We'll climb down here in the engine room, and we have 4 hoses to take off that will spill some water, some cooling water, since the boat was just run yesterday. So there'll be some water, but it'll go in the bilge and be taken care of there. And we'll pull the aftercooler assembly out and go over to the second engine and do the same thing over the second engine. Over here on the port side, the aftercooler is not nearly as easy to get to. The one here on the starboard engine is very easy to reach. So always do the easy one first, and that way you know exactly which wrenches and what you need to use. All right, let's get going. Okay, so here's the aftercooler. We've got air in, air out hoses to take off, seawater out, and underneath on this side down here, seawater in. So this is the one that's going to spill some water out of this particular hose when we take it off. And then we have bolts that hold it in place. There's a bracket here, and then there's 2 bolts at the bottom to undo down here. So we have 4 bolts and 4 hoses. And so let's go ahead and see if we can get started. we're going to loosen all the bolts just to make sure we don't have an issue with it before we undo the hoses. Break the hose free here using this hose pick. And here's where we spill some water. Alright, so that's 3 of the 4. Last one is the water down below. And that's pretty much drained. I'm going to undo the bolts and then pull it off of this hose, since this is very stiff hose here, and so really can't make room to move it. So what we're going to do is move the aftercooler itself, undo the bolts. Alright, I got all the bolts undone. I'm going to have to set the camera down here somehow. Alright, so that's one of them. The second one's a little more difficult to get to, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that off camera and bring you back when we get up to the shop. Alright, I've got both the aftercoolers off, sitting here, support aftercooler and the starboard aftercooler. They weigh about, I'm going to say, 50 pounds. It's an aluminum housing, and then of course it has a copper nickel or Admiralty, probably copper nickel tube bundle, which we'll look at here. Alright, I'm going to load these up, meet you back up in the shop where we'll start taking these apart. Alright, here's the starboard aftercooler. And this is the port. And I know that because it's written on them. But one of the things I'm going to do before I get much further is relabel them. Starboard, port, and last time I had these out, I match marked the heads. They need to go on the same position they come off. I mean, I believe they're rotatable depending on your particular installation, but you want them to come off in the same orientation they went on. So I've got match marks on here. I'm gonna get the file and double mark that so I don't have any. Alright, so I'm going to double match mark these so I don't have any issue with them, making sure I get them back in the right place. Alright, so that's got 3. I'm looking for the original marks on here. I'm going to mark this. I'm going to put 4 on here. The body is aluminum, but these heads are bronze. Alright, it's got 2. this will get 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's 14. All right, that came off easy. Things coming apart as it should, because these were installed with anti-seize. Yeah, the anti-seize all over the bolts. That's really, I serviced, like I said, I serviced these a few years ago, and didn't. So this is the end of the aftercooler, which sits down. It's the bottom of it. So this is where seawater sits the most. We'll see what the situation is in here. Oh wow, there's a zinc. That broke off. But it's still there a little bit. Alright, so you can see that, you know, probably a third of these holes are plugged, and the rest have a little bit of growth in them. So definitely due for cleaning. Alright, so here the zinc is still intact as it's supposed to be. So this is the top. And you really don't see any marine growth on here, because this normally does not stay full of water. It drains down about halfway. Okay, so we need to get this tube bundle out. Alright, so I got a couple of clamps on here. So this is the first thing we're going to try. Alright, it just moved there about 1/16 of an inch, so if you don't service these regularly, they can be a real bear to get apart. It moved about 1/8 of an inch. Alright, so that's moved almost 1/2 inch, or 3/4 of an inch, or I'm sorry, let's see. It's probably moved about 3/8 of an inch. Alright, so now that's moving easily. Yeah, flush here. Alright, that's all I can do with those clamps. Alright, so I can show you over here. Focus. Let me get back here maybe and zoom in. Yeah, alright, so you can see here it's coming out. Some debris on the inside. This one is going to have a lot more carbon buildup on the inside, on the air side, because I had a turbo, one of my turbos, the air intake side turbo, air got blocked and dirty air filter, so I had some soot, so I'm going to have blowing in here, so there'll be black soot on this core, and I shouldn't have the same situation on the other core. All right, need to get this in a little bit more. Let's see. All right, so this is not in bad shape. This is actually pretty clean. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be with the turbo soot incident. It's coming, but it's slow here. There we go. All right, so it's not too bad. Actually, it's pretty clean. Seen a lot pictures of a lot worse. So that's pretty good shape. So that'll clean right up. All right, so this tube bundle is going to require some cleaning. And I may rod it out. That is, run a rod up and down it. Clean it out. So the way this works, of course, is seawater flows through all these tubes. supposed to. Clearly some are blocked here. The other end, which is the top, where seawater does not normally sit here, it drains halfway down. But seawater flows through these tubes, and this is finned, and you probably can't see it, but they're very fine fins, and air blows through the bundle. It looks like, probably on the camera, it probably looks like it's a solid thing, but it's not. It's tubes with these very fine fins, and air blows through it this way. It can't go around it the way it's in the housing. And so the hot air from the turbo goes through this, and it's cooled by the seawater. I don't know if I can even get a focus on the fins, how finely finned it is. I think you can see there the fin structure. So, okay. This is actually pretty clean. I mean, there's some, looks like mildew there, a little bit of soot, but not bad shape. All right, we just need to clean it. Because this is bronze, the head is bronze, the body is cast aluminum, and the bolts are steel, you've got like a perfect storm of galvanic corrosion. Three dissimilar metals. Anytime you get two dissimilar metals, you wind up getting some degree of corrosion. But using the anti-seize and the special grease that Seaboard Marine sells, I think it's, I don't know what it's called, I'll show you. We'll use it when we put them back together. And that's one reason these are coming apart. Of course, this is the top. And got a little more marine growth in here on the top. Actually, no, this is the bottom. I'm sorry. The zinc is intact here. So this is the starboard engine. All right, so about the same amount of tube pluggage here. So you're definitely not going to get full performance out of the boat when you have your cooling passages plugged, because you don't get as much cooling water. And now what winds up happening is, you know, the water through the other tubes, there's some restriction obviously because some tubes are plugged, but what it does is it diverts more water flow through the other tubes because it increases the delta P across the tube bundle, but which means higher pressure on the bottom where water enters. So you get some reduced flow, but not as much as the 30% that it looks like. It'll just go faster through the other tubes. So, which is not ideal. I mean, the cleaner this is, the more efficient the process of cooling the intake air. And the cooler it is, the denser it is, and the better, the more air or oxygen, obviously oxygen, you can get into the cylinders. That was a little tighter. one was tightened with a little bit more zeal than the others. Should be torqued to the same spec. Alright, again, this is the top, so zinc is in good shape. We'll replace all the zincs. You need to do that annually anyway, at least. So the critical deal here is this O-ring, and the inside of the head has this bevel, and that pinches that O-ring between the tube bundle and the housing, and that's what makes the seal to keep water from going down between the tube beside the tube bundle. If water gets down there, then it gets on the air side of the tube bundle, which means it's going to be blown into the engine. And last thing you want is salt water going into your cylinders. And neglect of these aftercoolers, and it's the demise of many a marine engine, actually, because people tend to neglect this stuff. They don't know. They don't know they're supposed to do this, or don't want to pay somebody else to do it, or usually it's just lack of knowledge and understanding. But in any case, if you neglect these for too long, then you wind up getting leaks in the tubes, potentially. You either block this off completely and you get no seawater flow through it and no cooling, and your engine overheats, and that kind of drives people to do this. But if this is not done correctly, and if these tubes have leaks, then you'll get seawater on the air side, and it'll be sucked into the engine, and you'll get, so the salt water, if it's salt water, is not good, clearly not good for the engine. All right, let's see if we can use the clamps and push this one through the same way. Pretty clean here. So the instructions for how to do this are actually on Seaboard Marine's website, which is sbmar.com. And I'll put obviously there's no affiliation or sponsorship, but those guys know their stuff. I mean, widely recognized as experts, Seaboard Marine, I think they're in San Diego. Seaboard Marine, widely recognized in the industry as experts on marine engines, especially the Cummins. And Tony Athens is the guy. He's widely known in the boating industry and has published many articles on marine engines, and he's got some good videos up on his website, sbmar.com. Yeah, that moved already. This is even easier. Look at that. It's going right through. That's how it's supposed to go. Alright, so this one is cleaner. Look at that. Well, I got that far anyway. Alright, that's how you want them all to come apart. Come here. Here's my Brew Brew. How you doing, huh? Being a good boy? You being Daddy's good boy? Yeah. Yeah, you're being a good puppy. Where's your butchie? Where's your brother, huh? Where's your brother? Is he outside making trouble? We don't care, Daddy. We don't care. As long as he's not here getting all this attention. If you've been watching the channel, you know this is Brutus, or Brew Brew, as we call him. One of my 2 German Shepherds. It's a good boy. Good boy. Okay, back to work. All right, we're going to cut off the video at this point. We've got the aftercoolers disassembled. I put the covers back on just to keep track of them. They're just on loosely. Got the starboard core, port core here, and we'll come back next episode cleaning them, reinstalling them in the housings, and then reinstalling them on the boat. All right, I hope you found that interesting. If you got any questions or comments, put them down below. I'll try to answer any questions. We'll see you guys next time.